I'm going to say a sentence that everyone who reads Pitchfork has said at one point. I don't like Pitchfork. I've never liked Pitchfork. I didn't like it when I first discovered it, and I don't like it now. For anyone who doesn't know what Pitchfork is, it's a music review blog site. You get your standard pieces, how NFTs are shaping the way music sounds. You can listen to a bored monkey yawn into a banana and pay good money for it. And then you have, obviously, the linchpin is the reviews. They do the goofy score thing. So this got a 7.6. So in case you're wondering what Yves Jarvis, the Zug, got, well, that's what they thought. They thought it was 7.6 out of 10. And, every now and then, I have this really contentious relationship with Pitchfork, because every now and then they'll post a video review that, they go against the grain a lot. They go against what people typically think a lot of, albums and the scores that they give them. And every now and then, I have this moment where I'm like, you're right, you know what? I know the world disagrees with you, but Arcade Fire's Reflector does deserve a 9.2. I know it was electronic and it moved away from the format that they usually go with, but it was such a great departure, and the album is so lush and beautiful and perfectly paced. And I will admit that they were the reason that I discovered Big Thief. And the reason for that is because they gave, such a glowing review to UFOF. If it was to, there we go, so UFOF, they gave it a 9.2 as well, which is a incredibly high score for Pitchfork, a very high score for Pitchfork. And, but along the lines of Arcade Fire, they also got very mad at the very existence of Everything Now by the same band, giving it a 5.6. Look, the album isn't up to par and it's not up to standard, but it certainly isn't a 5.6 out of 10. Now, look, the thing is, I do understand that, music reviews are an important thing, and they do help people make informed decisions on albums, blah, 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 blah. But I know that a lot of people get annoyed at music reviews, but I get it. I understand why they have to exist. There's only one person or one entity that tries to be more edgy than Pitchfork, and this is where I draw the line, and I think a lot of people know where I'm about to go with this, but let's go there anyway. Anthony Fan freaking Tano, although it's the needle drop for his reviews. The Melon Man, who loves to review albums, but even more importantly than that, loves to be talked about and loves to be on Twitter, who incidentally reviewed the recent Arcade Fire album that just came out and decided to give it if I recall, he gave it a 4 out of 10. A 4 out of 10. Now let's see what this album is averaging on Metacritic, because I'm not cherry picking this because it's considered an amazing album, because it isn't. I think it has a 74 out of 100. Yeah, 74 out of 100. So 4 out of 10. Now, if you go on Metacritic, don't actually I don't think they allow Fantano's reviews on the aggregation, so that's something that goes in their favour. However, unfortunately, not everyone is the same, and Album of the Year, which is actually a better music aggregation website, unfortunately does allow Fantano's reviews, and you see at the bottom, right at the bottom of all of these aggregate reviews is, Fantano will just be sitting there. I don't know if he's done Harry's House, but he's always just sitting there right at the bottom or precariously right at the top. And the reason for that is because I think personally his biggest review was My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which he gave, spoiler alert, a 6 out of 10 for. And as you can see, it's got 1.4 million views from 11 years ago when he wasn't even that popular. And then he revisited it again a couple years back. He revisited a review that he did because it was controversial, and he knew he would pull in another couple of million views just by looking at it again. Yes, this is Mr. Controversy. This is the guy who knows that when he gives something a low score compared to what everyone else gives it, that if he does that, then he's going to end up, people are going to be talking about him. He's going to end up getting a lot of views. Now, of course, look, he doesn't always do this. As you can see, he gave Black Country New Road a 9, Big Thief, the new Big Thief album, a 9. Oh, such a great album. Those two are fantastic albums. But if we look at the bottom, let's go to the bottom. Let's see how many albums he's reviewed. Incredibly low. He gave the new Earl Sweatshirt album a 6, Mitski a 6, Saber a 6, Alt J a 6. He's being a bit nicer. The Arcade Fire, we gave 4, Avril Lavigne 4, Father John Misty gave a 4, Jack Harlow a 3. I think he actually deserves less than that, personally. Machine Gun Kelly gave a 1. Which is a 10. It's a 1. Yeah, what bugs me about this guy is that he's there. He's on these albums. He's at the bottom of it. And look, if you go right down to the bottom, there he is with a tomato, because there's a tomato on the cover. You have music user reviews there. Never take user reviews seriously, ever, please. And he's always just sat there at the bottom of the review. Now, the reason this guy bugs me is because I know that everyone has their own opinion, and everyone, everyone thinks different things and feels different ways about things. But this guy is using the music industry to cultivate subscribers and viewers. And then he ends up on the bottom, right on the bottom of this, of all of these aggregate reviews, and now it has a 52. And now Arcade Fire's We has, what's it sitting on at the moment? I think it's sitting on like a 76. Now, that could have been higher. That could have been a higher score. But it isn't now. And we all know how important aggregate scores are now in 2022. We know how often people go on things like Metacritic and Album of the Year. And so moving forward with other reviewers and moving forward with other people who are talking about music, if you do respect music and you do love music, and it looks as though this guy does, he's always got tons of vinyl in the background, then there has to be this unwritten rule that, hey, you know what, I'm actually, there has to be like this unwritten code. I know it sounds really dogmatic, it sounds like everyone has to do the same thing, and it does sort of echo Dogma, which was a film theory back in the day. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to go back to my film theory degree. So yeah, well, this isn't it. It was something else, because it was 95. I think it might have been. Anyway, it's basically where people try to make a bunch of rules. You have to have these unwritten rules where it's like, okay, you know what? I know what the issue with Fantano is. He gave that a 1 because he thinks it's a bad album. He gave Arcade Fire We a 4 because he was underwhelmed by it. He thought it was mediocre. The issue with someone like Fantano is that people like to praise him because when he thinks an album's mediocre, he doesn't give it a 7, he gives it a 5, because that's true. It's a middle-of-the-range album. Well, that's not really how it works. Based on things like production, writing, performances, an album that has those things sort of pinned down over other albums that don't would initiate a higher score to begin with. But also, and more importantly, thematically, with what I'm talking about now, it bugs me because everyone else gets it. Well, not everyone else, but most other people get it. And they know that maybe a 7 is a bit high for an album that you're not overly impressed by, but everyone knows that it should get a 7 if you're not overly impressed with it, and so the users buy in. That's awesome. I love this guy. The users buy into the notion that 7 means okay. He doesn't play by these rules. And he knows that by not playing by these rules, he's going to get a big response. I mean, look at this. 190,000 views, yeah, and it's someone pretending he gave it a 10 out of 10. Like I said, it's just doing it for controversy, but he is having a real impact on the music industry because based on metering it against how users perceive albums and album reviews, he's doing something that other people don't do. And that is affecting the way that albums are perceived. People, whether you like it or not, people do let a score for an album influence their opinion on it. I don't know, it just bugs me. Pitchfork bugged me, Fantano bugs me, and I've wanted to talk about this for a while. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess I'll see everyone later. They gave Harry Styles Harry House at 7.2.